live on Instagram. Used to love to utilize the filters on Instagram, but I know I need to start going live on here and on my other social media platforms, not just YouTube. So, anyways, you see, I'm representing the brand Nipsey Hussle TMC. Marathon continues. Shout out to the marathon team. Shout out to Marathon Burger. And all that good stuff. So yeah, I went to Marathon Burger, the newest location in Venice Beach, about 2 weeks ago, and the food was amazing. So I was like, you know what? I'm in a Nipsey Hussle marathon representing Black empowerment business kind of situation. So, all right. So, like I said, changes to the channel next week. I will be signing up to get back into the travel business. I mean, I love to travel, so why not make some money doing it? You know, not just getting air miles and points and things of that nature, but actually, you know, being able hopefully to help book people to go to their destination or where they might want to go in the future. Because for me, traveling and exercising by myself is some of the most therapeutic things that I've ever done in my life. So, like I said, even though the world is kind of in a crazy situation, I'm still going to be brave enough to go over to Europe, because my mindset is if you live your life always according to the media, then you're always going to put yourself in a position to where you're not going to be able to live a life. And I'm 42 years old. I'm going to be 43 years old next year. I've never been to Europe as a grown man. I want to go to Europe. So, you know, it is what it is. And if something bad happens, oh well. I mean, if people want to live their life in fear, that's why I put that joke video up about from the scene from Central Intelligence with Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson and Kevin Hart. Because if you want to live your life in fear, then live your life in fear. I refuse to. I'm going to die one day, and if it means I'm going to die today, then so be it. You know, you gotta live your life. You know, some of the most boringest people, basic mindsets I've met in my life I've noticed since the pandemic, that I've met, like people some people that might even make more money than me, are some of the most depressing people you ever be around, most boring people you ever be around, and all they do is they're glued to watching the media, watching sports, and talking about how great their life was 20 years ago. And I'm sorry, unless I'm in a nursing home to where I can't leave and do anything, if I'm still physically capable of driving a car, of taking a road trip and getting on an airplane, then I don't want to just talk about the good old days of my life 20 years ago. I want to talk about what I'm doing right now. But that's just me. Like I said, some people are different, and that's what it is. Some people just want to, that when they get older, all they want to do is go to work, come home, scratch themselves, watch Netflix, and watch politics, and watch sports, and complain about the world. If that's you, that's cool. I'm not knocking that, but I got to live my life, you know. It is what it is. So anyways. All right, so in fact, let me multitask. I'll be right back. But anyway, so the world's going to crap, as the media may want you to believe, and me personally, I don't believe that. I mean, look, whatever your political affiliations are, they are what they are. If you watch my content enough, you know I don't rock with any political party. I don't rock with any politician. So you're going to like who you're going to like. You're going to dislike who you're going to dislike. And guess what? Life is going to go on. Remember where I'm from, family. DMV area equals uptight people. So so if you live in the DMV area, get out while you can. Yeah, it's just a joke shirt. But if you want to get this shirt on my website, it's in the description. But anyways. So yeah, so at the end of the day, you know, we had our situation with Iran. Honestly, I really don't care. I was having a good conversation with my mother last night, and because especially a lot of people of her generation, you know, they worry more about the world than people in my generation does. And of course, I love social media. Everybody's putting World War III out there. Like I said, I don't have an opinion about this, but I will say is that, especially to my elders, you know, that are alive right now, that are freaking out right now. And remember, I'm not picking any side. This is not about political nonsense. This is about my personal perspective about the world in general. So you're Trump, love Trump, you don't like Trump, I don't care at this point. Like I said, I'm a grown man. I like to talk about money. So if nobody's talking about how I can get some money, or how I can get assets. Then what are we talking about? We're literally wasting time. Grown men talk about business, little boys gossip. That's one of my shirts says that, and that's how I feel about it. Okay, so with that being said, so I was talking to my mother yesterday, and I was just like, had to remind her of this. I'm like, look, you're a baby boomer. Remember, make money moves, or live broke like a fool. All right. I said, you're a baby boomer. You come from one of the hardcore generations. In a generation, my grandparents' generation beforehand. You guys had it more rough, especially as Black Americans living in this, not only just country, but this world, than any other generation. As far as that's from the Gen Xers to the millennials to the Gen Zs. You guys had it way worse in regards to having to deal with violence, racism, et cetera and so forth. Like, the fact that somebody could have, and I'm being honest, like somebody could have raped my grandmother during her time, because she was born in the 30s, and got away with it. The rights of women, the rights of Black people weren't that big of a thing back in those days. Okay, especially Black women was not a big thing back in those days. So the fact that the strength, especially the strength of Black Americans, to survive the Middle Passage from Africa to the Americas, to survive Jim Crow. All right. Then to survive integration. Then to survive everything that's come after that. You're going to let one individual who's been in office for 6 months put you in fear after all of us surviving all these crazy things. I'm not going to act like other cultures haven't survived horrific things either. I'm just talking about Black Americans because that's what I am. The things that we've survived and gone through, this is nothing. When Black Americans fought wars when they couldn't even go get a bank loan and couldn't get a loan, a bank loan for a house, couldn't get a bank loan for a business, couldn't even get education. All right, but still fought and bled and died for the United States of America, which is the greatest country on the planet. We made it. I'm saying these things because we've made it through these situations that are way worse than us attacking Iran. That's my whole thing. We've survived more horrific things than us attacking Iran. Like, it's like if you just look at history, we've survived crazier times than we're living in now. Not to say the times we're living in aren't crazy, because I'm not disputing that or dismissing that by any means. Once again, I'm not being anti anything in regards to politics, governments, or corporations. I'm just talking about regular, everyday people surviving horrific things. We've survived worse than this. We survived 9/11. I mean, I was in high school when 9/11 happened. I was worried that my mom might have been killed. And I had to call her via payphone because I didn't have a cell phone back then. And luckily, she was okay. In the DMV area, there's government buildings all around, military bases all around. So, Pentagon got hit. It was a scary thing. And I'm 18 years old at the time. What do I know? I think if something like that happened now, I wouldn't have freaked out as much because I'm older and a little bit wiser and understand the dynamics of the U.S. economy and things of that nature and the U.S. government. But back then, I didn't know. What did I know? Moral of the story is people are stronger than they give themselves more credit. Okay? Especially people who grew up during the segregation era, who grew up during a time when it was like the rights of Black people was non-existent, couldn't even vote, couldn't use most public facilities, couldn't sit in front of a bus. Okay, so my point is, if we're strong enough to survive those things, then why are we losing sleep over what's happening right now? We are a strong, resilient people, and because of that, we should be proud of that. On some realness. But at the end of the day, that's just my personal feelings about it, about the situation. Because, like I said, unfortunately, some people just don't know how to, just put things in perspective in a different aspect. That's just my personal opinion. But anyways, so we know now that the chances of cost of living on all aspects going up is just going to continuously increase. With the full implementation of the tariffs around the corner, the thing is, have you been making money moves, or are you still living? Are you doing your best to live broke like a fool? Um, meaning at the end of the day, I started getting more in tune with making content, and getting more in tune with making content and talking about money, not from a I'm going to give out financial advice situation, but just from a hey, be about your money, be about your business, however you make your money, and show that you're doing two things specifically: saving your money and investing your money. Okay, like that's been big on my mind and whatnot in regards to doing that, and I've always been about ensuring that I got to have a significant amount of savings, I got to have a significant amount of access to capital, and I want to have a significant amount of assets, i.e. cryptocurrencies, stocks, bonds, real estate, business, whatever the case may be. And shout out to the people, because I finally have the opportunity to really make money off of YouTube. So shout out to the people that have supported my channel, friends, family, and strangers, mostly strangers. But shout out to everybody that have done that, because it's greatly appreciated. But anyways, moral of the story is, I always talk about is like, and shout out to anybody who's going to Invest Fest 2025. I just got my tickets today. And I'm loving, one thing I can say I'm loving more and more lately is buy now and pay later. Now, I don't use it for fast food, and I don't use it for DoorDash and whatnot, because if I'm using it for that, then I don't need to be utilizing DoorDash. DoorDash and Uber Eats is a luxury. I only utilize Uber Eats when they have a deal, and I utilize Grubhub because I'm an Amazon Prime member, I'm able to get free deliveries as long as I spend a certain amount of money. So that's the only reason why I utilize it. I barely ever use DoorDash. But anyways, I digress. But yeah, so at the end of the day, more and more people it's hitting them financially in their pockets nowadays. That's why we say, if I don't hear corporations or politicians talking about money, that I really don't want to hear what they have to say, because they're really wasting my time. They're really, really wasting my time. But at the end of the day, what I have to say is that more and more people are having to work harder and longer. More and more people are, especially people with families. I mean, a woman on TikTok the other day was talking about she spent $700 at Walmart, bro. What? For her husband, and her two kids. Both her and her husband work in education, both working. But $700 for a freaking bill. That's how expensive it's gotten out here. Especially for people. That's why, the American, even with immigration, the American population is in decline. Because people just can't afford to have children anymore. A lot of people don't want to have kids like me. A lot of people just can't afford to have children anymore in this country, unless they have like 4 or 5 families living in them, like a lot of people who immigrate here from other countries do. Or even people that make a significant salary and whatnot, but because of the price of food, goods, and services going up, like, why would you want to have a kid right now? Why would you even want to have a car payment right now? Like my friend who's in the car business, Adrian, his sales have gone down tremendously because of the direction of the economy. And when the tariffs fully hit, and there could be repercussions economically from this possible war that we're going into. And like I said, I'm very neutral when it comes to politics, and I'm very neutral when it comes to war and all that. I'm not talking about sides here. I'm talking about the economics. I always tell people, I don't focus on the politics. I focus on the economics. I was talking like this during Obama, Trump, Biden, and Trump again. I will continuously talk like this. Focus on the economics, not on the politics. Like me, from the stock perspective, and I'm saying what I'm going to do. I'm not telling what you need to do. I'm saying what I'm going to do from a stock perspective. You don't take financial advice from some guy that you see on social media. All right. So, because possible war might be breaking out, what I might be looking into buying in regards to the stocks? 2 things that usually go into war: defense spending and cybersecurity. Because why? Because that's going to be utilized in any war or any future attacks that might happen on either side. So, hey, there's a bunch of defense contractor companies like Lockheed Martin, General Dynamics, and CACI thinking about buying into them. I will. You do your research and do your homework. I know I will. And go from there. Cybersecurity companies, cybersecurity spending, it's like this, and there's plenty of ETFs when it comes to even just buying those if you don't want to buy single stocks. So, hey, and if you want to become a member of Stash or Acorns, I'm a member of Stash Acorns. I get a $10, and you'll get free stock when you sign up for them. The links will be in the description after this video is posted, and everything's chicken but the bone because my black butt is at home. All right. So, anyways, yeah, the world is going crazy, but do you need to let that affect your everyday life? My mom said, I had to tell somebody this last night. I said, hey, until I see a missile drop on the front of my house, I'm not going to worry about it. Okay. Because there's a rendition on my YouTube channel. If you haven't subscribed to it, Larry's Anything Goes LLC. I do every month, and I usually do today's forecast. We're all going to die, because that's all the media does. They scare the living crap out of you. Their objective is to keep you scared and in fear and buying crap. That's the job of the media, no matter who's in the White House, governor's house, or mayor's house. Why? Why do you say this, Larry? Oh, it's real simple. Because every time you turn it on, there's always something negative to talk about. They never talk about anything positive happening in the world. When they talk about a major city in this country, it could be Miami, it could be Los Angeles, it could be New York, it could be Washington, D.C., it could be Denver, Colorado, Atlanta, Georgia, Detroit, Michigan, Chicago. It's never anything, the good things that are happening. Thank God for social media, because you had people that are actually posting positive content about Chicago, about Detroit, about all those other major cities that I've mentioned. It's always negative, though, when it comes to the media. That's why they call it beautiful, proper propaganda. So anyways, like great example, when I was in L.A. a couple weeks ago, I know that they were having certain issues and whatnot against protesters, going against ICE and whatnot. But my best friend who lives in Los Angeles, Inglewood specifically, he works for ICE, and we were there, and he had to get called in for one time. But I didn't have any issues. I had a good time in LA. Went to a concert. Went to a comedy show. Went to a comedy show in Ontario. Went to a comedy show in Hollywood, and went to a concert. I think it was in Pomona. So, I had a good time. Nobody tried to kill me. Nobody tried to send me to jail. So life was good. All right. So, it's like Kendrick said, turn the TV off. Turn the TV off. Real talk. Okay. But anyways. But yeah, the times we're living in now, and it might be required for even more and more people to leave the more expensive states, because as expensive as things are now with goods and services and things of that nature, it might behoove you to move to a cheaper state if it's financially possible for you. Because a lot of times people end up moving to another state and they end up doing worse than they did in the more expensive state that they lived in. Like a lot of people I know have left California, they went to Texas. A lot of them actually moving back to California because they can't stand the weather in Texas, or a lot of times because the energy bills was much more higher compared to California because of the heat. And then of course, they just miss being around family. So, and nowadays does family matter the most, the ones that do matter, because I got a lot of people in my bloodline that I probably never speak to again because they're just full of crap. So either they're very snooty or they want to use you and abuse you. So I don't got time for that. But the ones who matter, stay close to them more and more, because, as they say in Spanish, familia es todo, family is everything. And especially nowadays, it really is. Okay, because you have so many people that are backstabbing and just try to use you and abuse you. And it's a rarity, and let me know in the chat section, it's a rarity when anybody ever just hits you up when they just want to have a conversation with you. Usually people just hit people up nowadays because they want something from you. And to me, that's not a real friend worth having. But that's just my personal opinion. I'll leave it at that. But yeah, I'm going to, because I've done a lot of traveling in the last couple of weeks. Shout out to Phoenix, shout out to LA, shout out to Las Vegas. Like I said, besides selling products and doing network marketing, Larry's Anything Goes is going to be getting into the travel business and creating content. Larry's Anything Goes is going to be getting into the travel business because I love to do it, so why not try to make some money off of it and get more tax write-offs for doing it? I call it a win-win situation. But so I'll be putting those links in the description. Once the travel business gets set up, I figure I'd give myself 2 weeks and try to rush and do it so I could actually know what I'm doing, compared to like when I tried to do this 9 years ago. and go from there. And anybody who's want to, sign up and become a travel agent, if you like, and for real, my mindset is only do it if you really love to travel. Don't just do it for the money. Do it because you love to travel and you want to get deals and things of that nature. And of course, be able to write off your travel. At this point in the era, that's the only real reason to even own a timeshare or to be in the travel business if you are a frequent traveler. If you're a person that doesn't travel like that, then why sign up to be in the travel business? Why pay the monthly fee? You're wasting your time. You're wasting your money. Just my personal opinion. I'll leave it at that. That just shows you I'm not just about the money. It's just about the traveling is for the experiences, because to always see the same stuff every day, be around the same people every day, it's hard to grow when you're doing the same mundane thing every day. To be basic is just to be boring. That's what basic equals, to just be boring. And a lot of people think to not be basic is to have an overpriced house and an overpriced car, but that's the most basic thing in 2025. Most people aren't even impressed with that kind of stuff anymore, but in all age ranges. But what do I know? But that's really all I had. Like I said, it's been a minute since I've been on here. I need to make it a habit of going live on here and on my other platform more often, on specifically TikTok. Might do that later on this evening, just to make it a habit of getting myself out there more into the algorithm and things of that nature. But my mindset is this: as far as Americans that are worried right now, we're going to be okay as long as you get back to family, some sort of community. It's harder nowadays to have community than it ever has been in a long time. It's harder. It's really harder nowadays than it ever has been, just because, given the fact that a lot of people are just so in tuned. I think more people have more of a social media community than they actually have a face-to-face community. I myself have more of a social media community than I have a face-to-face community. But that's just because for me, it's like I live in the DMV area, and I don't really vibe with the energy in the DMV area like that. I really vibe more with California, Southern California, LA, San Diego. I vibe with Vegas, Phoenix, and Houston and Atlanta more than I do the DMV area, because people are much more laid back about their business. And like where I live at, people like to fake and floss over the cars and houses, but they just be house broke and car broke. But when I go to that part of the country, I feel like, hey, if you ain't got it like that, if you try to flex and floss, you can get shot and killed. So people don't try to do that. They try to stay laid back. I mean, it's like kind of like Ice-T said about Los Angeles. He said, look, you can't, because like when a lot of the younger rappers were getting killed, whether they lived there or they were visiting there, he's like, look, LA is not a place that you go around sporting a lot of jewelry. Unfortunately, one guy, I think his name is PH something, PBX something. Rest in peace to him. I'm not too familiar with the younger rappers nowadays, because he wasn't of my generation. I didn't even know who this young man was until he got shot and killed at Roscoe's Chicken and Waffles. Excuse me. Matter of fact, to put some respect on his name, let me look this guy up, just to be, before I get off here. I'll make sure rapper PNB, yeah, TNB, yeah, PNB Rock, yeah, that's his name. That's what I said. Let me not disrespect this young guy. I remember he was from Philadelphia. PNB Rock, yeah, it was August 8th, 2024, when he was killed because he had like $100,000 to $200,000 worth of jewelry on, and he just. And he was in the hood too. He was like at one of the most ghettoest, ratchet. They say, I think it was in Watts, Roscoe's Chicken and Waffles. Only Roscoe's Chicken and Waffles I've been to in LA is the one in Inglewood, and the one in Hollywood. So I've never gone to the one, like I've been to Watts one time, and that was just because I wanted to try a black-owned burger place that's been like in existence since the 1970s and 80s or whatnot. I ordered my food online, got my food, and rolled out. I didn't even realize I was across the street from I think it was the Downs Projects or something like that. If I got it wrong, LA, forgive me, because I usually don't go across the country to go to the hood. I don't even go to the hood in DC where I live at. So, grown man, I got more important things to do. Moral of the story is, let your lifestyle be the thing that shows the world who you are. Not jewelry, not cars, not houses. That's just for effect. You let your assets and the way that you live be the beacon of hope in your life and whatnot. Because the thing that the pandemic taught to me and said to me is that, man, being at home, being able to work from home, man, that's pretty cool. Being able to save more money and invest more money, that's pretty cool. being able to have a lifestyle I don't have to take a vacation from, that's pretty cool. To me, that's the ultimate floss. If you're living a lifestyle where you're constantly stressed out and whatnot and constantly thinking about being in another place, then you got a lifestyle that you got to take a vacation from. All right. Work on the biggest ultimate asset is working on having a lifestyle that you don't have to take a vacation from. My dog Max is up from his nap. What's up, Max? Want to say hello to Instagram? All right. What's up, buddy boy? What's up, man? So yeah, I just look at it like that. You know what I'm saying? So anyways, hopefully you guys have a great and exceptional day. What's up, Max? He said, yeah, make it all about me. Hopefully you guys have a great and exceptional day. Don't forget to subscribe to my YouTube channels, Larry's Anything Goes LLC, Patterson or Properties LLC, and go from there. I'm out. All right, man. Hold up.